only time. You laugh like a map unfolding, pages slow and warm. A compass in a pocket that finally pointed north. We walked the quiet avenue where street lamps kept us calm, and every shadow shaped itself into your name. A weekend plan became a compass, a coffee changed to calls. Your stories braided into mornings when I could not sleep. I learned the curve of your small accidental smiles, how you made ordinary corners feel like home. We kept time in gentle increments, measured in exhaled breath, and everything we planned felt like promise dressed in light. The world, a soft applause, we bowed and took it in. Where we began still lives inside my pocket, warm and bright. A photograph of handprints pressed into the dusk. We chased horizons that dissolved like chalk at night. But in the margin of those days, your echo keeps me hushed. I call across the map, you name a compass that I trace. And though the road went on without your step beside me now, I hold the map where we began, the corner where we met. And I keep missing you the way the tide keeps missing shore. We took that train that smelled of rain and unmade plans. I take it for two and a single crooked laugh. You showed me markets where the colors like to shut, and we learned how simple kindness sounds in other tongues. Sunset became a ritual, we collected postcard towns, photographs like apologies that give later to our friends. When nightfall we stayed awake to count the city lights. You held my hand like someone holding a borrowed star. We kept time in gentle increments, measured in exhaled breaths, and everything we planned felt like promise dressed in light. Where we began still lives inside my pocket, warm and bright. A photograph of handprints pressed into the dusk. We every street light keeps returning to your face. Where we began, a lighthouse in a bay I still revisit. I hold the map, I touch the fold where our promises stand. The world keeps spinning like a vinyl record hush, and every quiet chord you left becomes my answer. I call your name into the open, into rooms we used to share, and in that calling there is love and grief, both honest and bare. The map remains folded neat, a corner worn by thumb. We began, I whisper, and the night falls The map remains folded neat, a corner worn by some. Where we began, I whisper, and the night falls back. A single guitar, a distant train horn. There was a morning when the city opened like a book, and your hand fit mine like ink into a new page. We took the coastal route and let the radio nominate our songs. The guitar's heater hum like an easy heartbeat. You pointed at cliffs like they were pages of a secret, and I believed you when you said the horizon always forgives. We slept in motels where curtains breathe the salt of sea, and woke to continental coffee, tired and full of maps. We stitched our names into every stop like a ribbon on a tree, and watched the world accept us moment by moment. Postcards from roads we knew now sit inside a drawer. Letters I never mailed, scenes that learned to fade. I traced the postage stamp where your handwriting curled, and remember how the ocean learned to say your name. When the nights grew heavy, we turned on all the lamps, and for a while the dark was just a friendly thing. But you folded up the map and left without the train, and left me with postcards that whisper where you've been. We laughed until the driver asked if we were honeymooners, and the mountains leaned in like old friends bearing witness. A sketch of you on napkin paper with ketchup-stained corners. I held it like a talisman while we crossed another state. The market tasted like citrus, and the line which felt like home. You danced in alleys with a stranger's reckless grin. When rain started, we sat on porches and counted every drop. The world decreased to the width of your shoulder. We stitched our names into every stop, like a ribbon on a tree, and watched the world accept us moment by moment. Postcards from roads we knew now sit inside a drawer. Letters I never mailed, scenes that learned to fade. I traced the postage stamp where your handwriting curled, and remember how the ocean learned to say your name. When the nights grew heavy, we turned on all the lamps, and for a while the dark was just a friendly thing. But you folded up the map and left without the train, and left me with postcards that whisper where you've been. The last postcard, blank on the back, a photograph of a smiley. You signed it with a half-moon smile and no return address. I keep it like contrition and a constant question mark. Did I miss the moment you decided to step away? Postcards from roads we knew stack up like gentle crimes, ink fading like the softness in the bend of your name. I read them in the quiet where the cattle finds my hand, and wonder which station took you farther than our map. I leave the window open for the sound of passing trains, for any voice that might translate the hush you left behind. A train passes, the postcard stays. I keep the drawer closed. A train passes, the postcard stays. I keep the drawer closed. The train passes, the postcard stays. I keep the drawer One chord held. You taught me how to fold an idea into a suitcase, neatly with small apologies tucked into pockets. We ran through airport gates with boarding passes like promises, And the layover smelled like cheap perfume and possibility. Your eyes at duty-free were like two decisions I could not name. And I learned to read the map behind the smile you carried. We caught cheap flights and expensive sunsets, trading hours for wonder. And I believed that the sky would always hold our tickets. So we scheduled our forever in tiny increments. A dinner here, a promise there, all of it was a currency of trust. You left me with a suitcase of quiet on the porch at dawn. Its zipper closed and heavy with all the songs left unsung. I opened it to find the smell of your sweater, a bus ticket torn, and the echo of a laugh that knows it cannot come back. I walk our old routes carrying little paper vows, your name tucked in the lining like a seam I cannot reach. Where we laughed on foreign streets, the echoes stay. Your footprints fade but never fully leave the sand. We crossed through monasteries and marketplaces that tasted of spice, and you traced out constellations with a cigarette and a pen. There were nights when our silence was a soft and honest thing, and mornings when the hotel coffee tasted like confession. You held my hand like a prayer in the dark and said, we'll make it last. And I believe the way someone believes the weather forecast. And now the weather changes and I keep scanning doorways, expecting to find you standing with a map of a different kind. So we scheduled our forever in tiny increments. A dinner here, a promise there, all of it was a currency of trust. You left me with a suitcase of quiet on a porch at dawn, in zipper closed and heavy with all the songs left unsung. I opened it to find the smell of your sweater, that bus ticket torn, and the echo of a laugh that knows it cannot come back. Out of our old routes carrying little paper vows, your name tucked in the lining like a seam I cannot reach. Where we laughed on foreign streets, the echoes stay. Your footprints fade but never fully leave the sand. I listen for the shutter sound of a closing door. I count the breaths between the heartbeats of the city. If love is luggage, then grief is all the labels left behind. And I keep folding memories until they fit the shelves. You left me with a suitcase of quiet, and I keep it anyway. As if weight can turn the proof that what we had was real. I iron your old shirt, sweet the care of someone learning ritual, and in the steam the room fills up with what it means to miss. The train that took you kept rolling past the station door, and I stayed collecting coins for roads I can no longer find. Your laugh lives folded in the corners of my day. Suitcase closed single leg repeats. The cafe table still remembers the warmth of 2 cups and a napkin where you sketched the shape of our next town. You spoke like someone revealing a compass, direction soft and sure. And I believed that the world was only meant to be explored with you. We rode the ferries that smelled of diesel and bread, and promised to return to all the places that made us laugh. The passport stamps look like constellations in a small dark book. And at night we read the sky for routes only we could take. There were words we hoarded like spare change, counting them carefully, saving for a storm, for a sudden unexpected goodbye. Now I hold maps in my mouth and taste the ink of you. Every direction I speed bends toward memory. I call the old tavern's number just to hear the tremor of our song. And the waiter says they were here. The table remembers you left with the weather, and the weather left me a note, a message written in the language of absence. I keep drawing lines on paper hearts, trying to find the place you stayed, and every line returns me to your leaving. We climbed the hill where the town wrote our names in sidewalk chalk, and we kissed like children promising the world. You taught me how to fold a map so the corners would not hurt. And now we watched you close your suitcase as if closing a chapter. We drank tea in temples where the candles burned like steady hands, and you traced the carved words and said, remember this. I remembered everything and collected it like shells in a jar. The shells are hollow now and breaking my palm. There were words we hoarded like spare change, counting them carefully, saving for a storm, for a sudden unexpected goodbye. Now I hold maps in my mouth and taste the ink of you. Every direction I speak bends toward memory. I call the old tavern's number just to hear the tremor of our song, and the waiter says they were here. The table remembered you left with the weather, and the weather left me a goat, a message written in the language of absence. I keep drawing lines on paper hearts, trying to find the place you stayed, and every line returns me to your leaving. Sometimes I think I hear the suitcase wheel across the floor. Sometimes I stand at windows and pretend you will appear. But the city is a patient thing, it rearranges itself to keep me whole, and I keep folding maps until they feel like prayer. Maps in my mouth become confessions to the night, Directions that turn into lullabies for a heart that waits. I speak your name like an address I cannot reach, and every road I take bends to the echo of your voice. If leading taught me how to carry light alone, I learned to walk, but I still taste you when I try to say goodbye. A single map on the table, the corner marked where we began. Heartbeat beneath the city hum. You were the sudden weather in a predictable life, a satellite that changed the map of my night. We moved like children through a borrowed summer, stealing sunsets, and the world filed itself into the order of your smile. Every station had your name carved into the waiting room, and I learned to find you in the way the train doors sighed. We traded secrets like souvenirs, folded small and precise, and I kept them like contraband, precious and true. We promised as if promises were bridges, simple and sound, and I crossed them barefoot, certain of the ground. Now I live on the missing side of you, the half that stayed, the part that knows the route the other always took. I keep the postcard you never sent, the photograph you never cropped, and I invent your laughing rooms that have forgotten echoes. You became a direction I keep following by instinct, a lighthouse that exists only when I blink too long. I dialed your number like a ritual, and the line replies with silence, but silence has its own shape, and it fits me strangely well. We watched dawn fold itself like a paper plane into the street, and you taught me to steer with nothing but hope. There were eyes where we left promises, pinned to lamplight, and there were nights when the city simplified down to us. We took the ferry at midnight and called it perfect, and the boat rocked like confession. When there are needs, you said we would see the world and return with pockets full of reasons, but reasons dissolve when someone closes the door. We promised as if promises were bridges, simple and sound, and I crossed them barefoot, certain of the ground. Now I live on the missing side of you, the half that stayed, the part that knows the route the other always took. I keep the postcard you never sent, the photograph you never cropped, and I invent your laughing rooms that have forgotten echoes. You became a direction I keep following by instinct, a lighthouse that exists only when I blink too long. I dialed your number like a ritual, and the line replies with silence, but silence has its own shape, and it fits me strangely well. I set a place at dinner, chopsticks kept untouched. I keep the vase you liked even when the flowers die. Sometimes I whisper apologies into the empty corners, and sometimes the city answers with the clink of plates. If love is a lesson and loss is the question I keep asking, and your absence is the teacher who never speaks. On the missing side of you, I do small altars of our days, candles of the little jokes, the coffee spoons that take its tone. If the world is a map, then I am learning every line you left behind, and in that learning there's a strange, steady tenderness. I keep your name between my ribs, a steady, soft refrain. And if you ever come back, I will show you how I learned to live with one half. The sea breathes, I breathe back. The missing side becomes a room. One day the silence may return you, until then I keep